happens in our life, especially if a loved one gets sick. But you know what? In spite of that disease, I'm asking all of you to continue praying for Evelyn Wardlow, who was part of this church for, I don't know, 40 years, and now he's battling cancer. Me and Debbie went to see her the other day, and she was, couldn't make words, you know, knew who we were, was very happy to see us. And Debbie sent out an email for the rest of you to go see her. When you go there, you're not going to have a huge conversation, but she will give you the biggest hug and a wonderful smile. So keep praying for her. Keep praying for Arvada. Keep praying for the rest of the people that we have in this church who are older and sick, and they need Jesus to be close to them because they need comfort and they need hope. And they just need to know that God loves them and that He is going to be there for them even at those troubled times. You know, I want to just take a moment and talk to you a little bit about what's going on in this church, in this district. Sunday night, we almost had 50 different phone calls from people who called during our television ministry. We are sending books out there like crazy. And by the way, that ministry is getting funded by the conference and by you, and we are asking other Seventh-day Adventist entities such as hospitals and so on to pitch in and help us. So we'll be okay as far as that goes. It's a tremendous outreach because so many people hear our message and receive our literature. You know, what are we here for? I believe that we are here to bring people closer to Jesus. We are here to improve people's lives by telling them what Jesus can do for them. That's why we are here. When I came to this church 16 years ago, I had one church, and today I have 8 churches in this district. And you know, some of you sometimes say, well, why do we, as Pastor Gordon, have to go over there, you know? And the fact is that the reason is because when we have more churches, we can win more people for Jesus. And all of these churches, in every one of them, I have the assistants and lay pastors, and they're doing a great job, tremendous job. The conference just recognized a group that meets on Hamden, and they are called Denver Indonesian Seventh-day Adventist Company, and they also recognized our Indonesian company that meets here in this facility also as a branch Sabbath school. So we have 8 churches in this district. They're all growing. They're all bringing people to Jesus, and I think that's why we are here. And I want to continue talking about it today a little bit. On Tuesday, I'm going into the radio stations where Sandy works, and Sandy is the one that connected us with the people there, and that's 670 a.m. They are offering a slot to us on Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock in the morning. And I'm going to go in there and record the demo because I would like to take that demo and share it with the CEOs of the Seventh-day Adventist hospitals in Denver area. And we have like 6 or 7 of them, and see if they would sponsor us, if they would pay for that. And if they would, then the chances are that in a month or 2, we might have a radio ministry right here in town on AM, and that's a tremendous time. A lot of people hear that message and they get invited and they come to church. On the national TV, it's a little bit harder because a lot of people call us from New Jersey and Alabama. They can't come to church on Sabbath morning, you know. But this is something also that we are working on, and I'd like you to pray about it because I've never done radio. I stood in front of people and I talk, and there is a lot of visual things there, but with the radio you have to stand in front of the microphone and just talk, and I don't know how that's going to work out, but we'll try. So pray for that, and pray that we would have a good reception with the people who are going to get that demo into their hands to see if they would support us. Again, we're here to win people for Jesus. I just want to mention to you, our YouTube channel is youtube.com/AAChurchCO, and please let your friends know about it. Channel there on YouTube. There is 100+ sermons on there that our technical crew has put together, and they've done a lot of work, these guys in the back there. We got people in this church that are constantly doing work for the Lord. Technically, physically, fixing this property, always doing something, and I just want them to know that I am thankful as a pastor, and I think we all should be. Okay, this morning, I would like you to imagine, just for a moment, that you were born a whale. You were born a whale. And when you were born, you were just a little whale, maybe several hundred pounds. And then after a while, you started growing. And as you were growing, you became bigger and bigger. And I just want you, let's try this. Just close your eyes and think about the cold water surrounding you. And think about the fact that you have these powerful fins and a powerful tail. And think about the fact that you can go from one end of the planet to another. You can just swim wherever you want to go. You were born with this incredible ability that nothing can stop you. If the ships come along, you sense where they are and you just go around them. And you just go wherever you want to. You have total freedom. Total freedom. You're the strongest fish in the ocean. Nobody can touch. And then one day, you are swimming, and all of a sudden, there is a snag, and your fin can't move properly, and you start trying to get away, and pretty soon you get tangled up more and more and more, and without really realizing it, you accidentally swim into a fisherman's net. And it starts entangling you, and pretty soon your fins are useless, and your tail, as powerful as it is, it won't get you moving, and you're finding yourself in serious trouble because you have to surface every couple of hours for air, and things are just not looking good. You become paralyzed, and you can't go forward, you can't go backward, you're stuck. You are just stuck, and all the muscles, all the power, all the freedom that you had is just taken away from you in a matter of, because of one mistake. Because you didn't see it coming. Now you can open your eyes. It's not a good place to be in, is it? Not a good place to have all the freedom, and all the power, and all the abilities, and all the strengths, and all the talents. And yet be at a place where you can go ahead, get ahead. So the question this morning is for all of us to ask, how is our quality of life? Are you happy with your achievements where you are in life? And I'm going to tell you in a second why I'm preaching these sermons. And another question, would you like to be able to do better in life? And I'm going to tell you why I've been preaching these sermons now for the last 2 or 3 weeks. And it says right there on the next slide. Living a happy, prosperous life in Jesus motivates us to share Jesus with others. Living a miserable life doesn't. Does that make sense? When you're living a happy, prosperous life, when you have Jesus Christ in your life, and when things are going well, this is a great motivation for you to share that with others. I go have a coffee at Einstein's, and people come to me and say, "Oh, Pastor Gordon, I saw your program the other day on TV." And I say, "Well, why don't you come to my church on Saturday morning?" And one of the girls says, "I would love to, but I work." She works there on Sabbath mornings, And another man says, "I'm going to come when I get a chance." When you live a happy life, I do, I believe. I have my ups and downs, but generally, I feel good about what I'm doing. I feel good about the path that the Lord had put in front of me, and I am happy about sharing Jesus with others. But when you are not in that place, and I've been there, When you're not in that place, when you're living a miserable life, when you're constantly focusing on your failures and on your problems and on your negatives in life, then it becomes very hard to share Jesus with others. Why are we here? We're here to share Jesus. We're not here so that Pastor Gordon would share Jesus. We are here that we all would share Jesus. That's why I'm preaching these sermons. Because I would like you to live a happy, prosperous life, not because I'm a prosperity type preacher. I don't believe in that. I told you that many times. But because I want you to be able to be motivated to share Jesus. And that's what this is all about. So, how do we do that? How do we live a happy, successful life that is going to be of benefit to us and to those people around us? There is a lesson that we learn in Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verses 1 to 6. There are two lessons that we are going to learn there. Send your grain across the seas, and in times profits will flow back to you. King Solomon was one of the greatest traders of all times, and he made literally millions of dollars trading. And so if you are wanting to get ahead in life, this man would be a good advisor. And then he says, but when you are trading, divide your investments among many places, for you do not know what risks might lie ahead. When clouds are heavy, the rains come down. Whether a tree falls north or south, it stays where it falls. Farmers who wait for perfect weather never plant. If they watch every cloud, they never harvest. Just as you cannot understand the path of the wind or the mystery of a tiny baby growing in its mother's womb, so you cannot understand the activity of God who does all things. Plant your seed in the morning and keep busy all afternoon, for you don't know if profit will come from one activity or another, or maybe both. So what are the lessons that we are learning here from this text? From a man who was the richest man in the world. Number one, he says, diversify your efforts. Divide your investments among many places. Most of us are not investors. Most of us are not investing in stocks or bonds or anything like that. And most of us, sometimes, unfortunately, I hate to say it, a lot of people live a one-dimensional life. They learn one skill, or they get one degree, or they get, they choose their path, and that's what they become. We are living in a society and in times when that's just not cutting it anymore. And that's why the government is putting money into schools so that people can go and re-educate themselves. In other words, diversify. Learn another skill. Invest in yourself. If you learn how to be a nurse and there is no more nursing jobs. I talked to somebody, I don't know how this can be true. I thought nursing jobs are always going to be there. And somebody told me they couldn't get the nursing job in Denver, that it's getting pretty saturated, and they wanted to go to a different state to do that. But sometimes you have to invest in yourself where you have the ability to do two things at the same time. I had a friend, and he said to me, I'm going to study theology and business. I said, why would you do that? Don't you just want to be a pastor? I just wanted to be a pastor, so I became very one-dimensional type of a person. But this guy, he says, I'm not sure. So he got the minor in business. And you know what? He started working out as a pastor, and about 2 months later, he said, I can't do this anymore. After his second board meeting, he said, I can't do this anymore. And pastors, they get a lot of criticism, and this is not good, and that's not good, and why did you say this in a sermon, and why did you side with this group in a board meeting, and, all kinds of garbage. And not everybody can do that job, because you got to be able to please the whole congregation, and then you got to be able to please your bosses, and you got to be able to please even people who have nothing to do with your church. Everybody has the right to criticize you. So 2 months later, he said, I can't do this. He went and started a business, and to this day, he's a very successful Seventh-day Adventist businessman doing very good in life. I had another friend who became a teacher. I became a pastor, he became a teacher. But when he became a teacher, he wasn't so sure how long that's going to last. So he went and he bought a tiny little old house and remodeled it and rented it out. And 5-6 years down the road, he had 6 or 7 of these little units, and one day, sure enough, he lost his teaching job. You know what happened? Nothing. He was good. because he had rent coming in. So the Bible tells us, diversify your efforts. This is a principle that you can apply in any area of your life. Diversify. Be more than what you just are. Learn to do more than just one thing. Don't be one-dimensional. Lesson number 2 from King Solomon. Seize your opportunities. The farmer who waits for a perfect timing to farm is never going to reap. If you're always waiting for perfect timing, how long are you going to wait? You go to bed at night and you say to yourself, tomorrow morning I'm getting up and I'm going for a 2-mile jog. And you get up in the morning and you look outside of the window and you see it's kind of cloudy and you see it's kind of drizzly and you see the wind is blowing a little bit and you see that it's kind of cold, and you open the window a little bit and it's kind of chilly, and what do you say to yourself? I'm going back under that blanket. Maybe I'm not going to do this today. What's the big deal? I can just do it. The weatherman says that on Sunday it's going to be 70. So you are waiting for that perfect 70-degree day, and it never comes. It just never comes. I told you a story how I went on a bicycle ride one time, and I didn't really want to go. And then I said, okay, I'm going to go, even though it was, weather was bad, 50 degrees, Colorado, the wind was blowing, and I took off, and about 2 miles into it, I just got sick and tired of it. I said, Gordon, what are you doing? Why didn't you just stay home? This is miserable. And at one point, I'm driving, and I'm pedaling uphill, and the wind is going against me, and I say, why, Lord, why? Give me the wind. And then, I swear, and you shouldn't swear, by the way. When you go on these bike rides, at least when I do, I have the wind against me. But the funny thing is, on the way back, I also have the wind against me. I never get a break. So I'm waiting for this perfect calm day. It's never going to happen. And then one time, that day, I realized something. I realized, when I said, why, Lord, why? And I really did say that kind of in a humorous type of way. I wasn't angry or anything. But the thought came into my mind, you want to get in shape, right? The wind is your friend. If you pedal harder, you're going to get in shape. If you take your bike on top of a mountain with your car and then just ride down, you ain't getting in shape. Trust me on that. It's not going to happen. You got to go at the bottom of the mountain and climb up. If you're waiting for the perfect opportunity, for the perfect conditions, for the perfect people to come into your life, for the perfect timing, it's just not going to happen. You have to start where you are. You have to risk a little in order to live a lot. And sometimes you risk being cold. And sometimes you risk being in pain. And sometimes you risk being uncomfortable. And sometimes you risk getting into a fight with your boss because you've been there and they haven't noticed it. And you've done your part and they haven't noticed it. And most of the time, you say, oh, I'm not going to say nothing this week because I don't want to get them mad. Sometimes you got to take a little risk in order to have a little victory, in order to live a little bit, in order to get ahead. Norman Vincent Peale said, believe in yourself, have faith in your abilities. Without a humble but reasonable confidence in your own powers, you cannot be successful or happy. This is not about being arrogant. God, I keep saying this, God made you in His image. He didn't make you a goat. He made you a man and a woman. He didn't make you a worm. He made you a human being. There is no arrogance in that or pride. It's just a reality. Believe in yourself. Have faith in your abilities. You don't have to brag about it. But have a humble, reasonable confidence in your own powers. Otherwise, you're not going to be happy. And some people will say, well, Pastor, I know you keep saying it's my day and it's my time and I should seize the day and I should live a better life, but I just lost my motivation. I'm just tired of failures. I just can't do it. I'm just tired. And sometimes we get to that point when that happens. Then I want to point you to the Scriptures. Go to the Scriptures, Hebrews chapter 2, verse 6 to 8. What are mere mortals that you should think about them, or a son of man that you should care for him? This is the voice that comes sometimes into our head and says, well, who am I? I'm nobody. I'm just a little guy. I'm nothing to brag about. I don't have any special skills. I'm no better than anybody else. There are so many people out there in this world who are so much better than me in every area of life. I'm nobody. This thought sometimes comes into our head. What are mere mortals that you should think about them, or a son of man that you should care for him? And then listen to the answer. Yet you made them only a little lower than the angels, and crowned them with glory and honor. You gave them authority over all things. That's what God thinks about you. The angel has the ability to fly from one end of the universe to another in a split second, supernatural powers. God says that you are made just a little bit lower than an angel, so you should have a little bit of a humble confidence in your own abilities and powers. There are 3 reasons why so many people lose their motivation to live a successful life. Reason number 1, lack of confidence. They just lost their confidence. They tried one thing, it didn't work out. They tried another thing, it didn't work out. They tried something else, and finally they said, I give up. I'm just going to go back to doing the least. Or sometimes they just give up completely. And they don't do anything with their life because the confidence is gone. Other people, sometimes they lose their focus. When they were younger, they had a goal, they wanted to do something in their life, and all of a sudden the life threw them all kinds of curveballs, and it went this way and it went that way, and all of a sudden they got entangled like that whale in that net, and they lost their ability to see clearly, to focus on a goal anymore. They wanted to get a degree, they wanted to do this, they wanted to accomplish things in life, and all of a sudden they just are human being, a little bit lower than an angel, a lot more powerful than a whale, but unable to get ahead in life because they lost their focus, they lost their confidence, they lose their focus, they don't have a goal. And then lack of direction. Lack of direction, in other words, they just don't know what to do next. Do you get up sometimes in the morning and say to yourself, what am I going to do today? I just don't know what to do next. You don't know what to do next because you lost your focus. You don't have a goal. You don't have that goal that's driving you in the particular direction. And the days just go by, and months, and years. Sometimes tragedies will trigger this. A loss of a loved one will throw us into a spin, and we will lose our direction, our goals. Sometimes getting fired or getting sick. I'm not going to say a name, but, I talked to a person this week who battled a major illness. And they are today free and clear of that illness. And they said to me, don't know what to do next. Sometimes these things, they come into our life, and you put all of your focus on them, and once it's over, you don't know what to do next. So those are the 3 things that destroy our motivation. In order to regain your motivation in life, number 1, you must boost your confidence. How do you do that? You do that by not focusing on what you want. Because if you focus on the things that you want, your mind will give you hundreds of excuses why you can't have it. I want to lose weight. Well, you can't because you love to eat too late at night. I want to save money. Well, you can because you love to go shopping too much. I want to buy a new car. Well, you can't because you're just not good with your money and you don't have any credit line. And you come up with anything that you want to focus on, that you want in your life, and your mind automatically says, oh, you can't. Here is why. That's how mind works. So instead of focusing on what you want, you should be focusing on what it is that you already have. When you focus on what you have, you take an inventory of what you have. So what do you already have? How many people here in this room have the ability to walk on their own 2 feet? Raise your hand. There are some who don't. How many people in this room have the ability to speak with their own mouth? How many people in this room have the ability to see and read? We have some who don't in this room today, who can't see, who have blindness in their eyes. But most of you can see. Do you realize that some of the people who had biggest handicaps in life, blind and deaf, had some of the most amazing accomplishments in life? And some people who are perfectly healthy would be labeled as the laziest losers on the face of the planet. And they have all of the abilities. What do you have? Make an inventory of things that God already gave you. If you have health, you have a lot more than most. If you have the ability to eat, there are people who can't eat because they're sick, they're not feeling good. If you have the ability to hug your kid, if you have your parents that are still alive, if you have a paycheck, make an inventory of the things that you have. Make an inventory of the things that you have accomplished in life. And everyone in this room has accomplishments, even the little kids. Because when they learn to read and write, that's an accomplishment. Everybody in this room has accomplishments. Make an inventory of those. And then be grateful for all the things that God gave you. When you focus only on the things that you want, your mind is going to tell you 100 reasons why you can't have them. When you focus on the things that you already have, and when you are grateful, you are going to regain your confidence, because you are going to look at yourself and you're going to say, hey, wait a minute. I was born a whale. I can go through these oceans wherever I want to go. I can go from one end, from the North Pole to the South Pole, 5,000 miles. Whales, they go all around the whole world. Sometimes they swim 10,000 miles. Isn't that some freedom? And you have that. You look at it, and you look at your accomplishments. You look at what you have. You look at how God created you. And all of a sudden your confidence starts rising. Number two, to regain your motivation in life, you must develop a tangible focus. What's your goal in life? Some people, their thinking is fear-based. Let me explain what that means when your thinking is fear-based. They will say things such as, I'm afraid of being poor. That's a fear-based thinking, and this kind of thinking is bad. It destroys your motivation, because there is no action that you can take when you think that way. When you say, I'm afraid of poverty, it's not an actionable thought. When you say, I'm afraid of, I'll never get healthy again, there is no action. Your mind will not react to that. That's a negative type of thinking. So instead of thinking out of fear, you should start thinking out of possibility. What are the possibilities ahead of you? Focus all of your energy on a well-defined goal. What is it that you want to accomplish? Sometimes people tell me, Pastor Gordon, I want to learn how to fly an airplane. Some people say to me, Pastor Gordon, I'm going to write the book. Some people say to me, Pastor Gordon, I'm working on this fantastic website. You know, and I always say, well, how's it coming? What did you do? Show me. What did you do so far? And a lot of times they haven't done anything so far. You know, it's just a talk. It's just a dream. It's just a fantasy. Focus all of your energy on a well-defined goal. By defining a goal, you are going to define your actions as well. If you decide to write a blog or to if you decide that your job is to create a Christian website for people to know about Jesus, if that's your goal in life, and if you focus on that, then your actions are already defined. You already know what's the next step. You got to go buy the domain name. You got to go start working on it. If your goal is to get in shape and get healthy, I mean, if that becomes your goal, then your actionable steps are already defined for you automatically. If you decide to get out of debt and pay all of your bills within 5 years, if that becomes your goal in life, so that you can do more for the church and more for the poor people, then your next step is already defined. You got to stop shopping. That's step number 1. You got to cut up them credit cards. That's step number 2. If you don't have a goal, you're not going to have any. You're going to get up in the morning and say, okay, what am I doing today? If you have a goal, you already have actions that you can take. So number 3, to regain motivation is to develop direction. Focus means having a goal. If you have a focus, you have a goal. Directions mean having a day-to-day strategy. A day-to-day strategy. Those are the things that you are going to do every day in order to reach goal. If you're going to write the book, you got to decide how many pages you're going to write every day. If you're going to write 1 page a day, it's going to take you 200 days to write the book. As simple as that. Whatever your goal is and your direction, once you have the strategy in place, then you know exactly what you're going to do that day. The key to finding direction is to identify activities that pay off and those that don't pay off. If you say, I'm going to pay off my debts in 5 years, you have to put down a list of things that are going to pay off. What are some of those things? Getting rid of the credit cards, paying your bills on time, not spending more than you make, managing your money, going online and learning how to budget, being faithful to God, big important thing. If you want to be financially free, God is going to bless you if you're faithful to Him. So you put on the list of all the things that will pay off for you, and you put the list of things that are not going to pay off for you, and guess what? Which ones do you focus on? If it's not paying off for you, then don't do it. Then just get rid of it. And then all of a sudden you have your focus, you have your direction, you have your strategy. And you can start achieving more in life. If you're living a happy life in Jesus, you are going to share that with others. If you're not living a happy life, you're living a miserable life, who are you going to tell about Christ? Nobody. Nobody. You're going to be focused on your own misery. And this is why we need to learn how to live happy, successful life in Jesus Christ. I want to share with you a text that is found in John 10, verses 9 to 11. Yes, I am the gate. Now I want you to, this text is important because God is talking to you and I. And this is what He says. I am the gate. Those who come in through me will be saved. They will come and go freely and will find good pastures. Jesus is talking in terms of a shepherd and sheep. We are the sheep. He is the shepherd. The thief's purpose is to steal and kill and destroy. The thief is Satan. His job is to kill your joy, your motivation, your happiness. His job is to make you miserable. His job is to stretch that net across the ocean, so if you're a whale, you get all tangled up in it, and all of a sudden your life is miserable, and you don't even know how you got into that mess, and you don't know how to extricate yourself from it. That's what Satan does. That's his job. His sole purpose in life is to steal and kill and destroy. And if you have been experiencing those kinds of things in your life, that's because you are under Satan's attack. You start even thinking about giving your life to Jesus, and Satan is going to attack you. You even start thinking about being faithful, and Satan is going to attack you. Why? Because he wants you miserable, and he wants you entangled in all kinds of this world's and life's problems, so that you can't be happy, because he knows when you're not happy, you're not telling anybody else about Jesus. Your mouth is shut. You just have too many of your own problems. And Jesus says this so very clearly. The thief's purpose is to steal and kill and destroy. And look at what Jesus says. My purpose is to give them what? A rich and satisfying life. So what I'm talking about today, it's not prosperity gospel. It's based on what Jesus says. He wants you to have a rich and satisfying life. We are not talking about, oh, if you bring money to church, then God is going to turn you into a millionaire. We are not talking about that. That's not going to happen. Don't even think that. I'm serious. And any preacher out there that says that is a liar. And that's a fact. That's a biblical fact. Jesus says you're always going to have poverty and problems, but the way to overcome them is through Him. Amen. So we're not here to become rich, but we are here to have a rich and satisfying life. Amen. And sometimes you can have that without having millions of dollars in your bank. Amen. You know what? I just want a normal, happy life for each one of you. Imagine a life without just having all kinds of bills and payments. Imagine a life, if you had the money that you have right now, every month, and you didn't have the bills that you have right now, how would your life be? Would it be a little different? Be a lot different, wouldn't it? I'm not promoting the idea that everybody here should be a millionaire. I am promoting the idea that everybody should be debt-free, because we're made in God's image. I am promoting the idea that we should have happy and satisfying and rich lives. We should be free, like that whale, go anywhere he wants to go, not entangled in all kinds of problems. That's what I'm talking about here. My purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life. I'm the good shepherd. The good shepherd sacrifices his life for the sheep. That's what Jesus does for you and I. He sacrifices his life for each one of us. You and I, we can be free once again. We can have that freedom from worry and trouble and problems and all kinds of miserable issues that entangle us, and we can enjoy that once again. As I step off of the stage, I'm going to ask the guys to turn off the light, and we are going to show you just a little video clip, and I think the message of that clip speaks for itself, so I'm not going to be coming back here. God bless you.
I'm Gershon Cohen, co-founder with Michael Fishback of Earth Island Institute's Great Whale Conservancy. Michael spends 2 months in the Sea of Cortez every winter, photographing blue, finback, and humpback whales to help track these magnificent animals across our oceans while observing their complex behaviors in the wild. On Valentine's Day in 2011, Michael, his family, and a few friends were presented with a rare opportunity, a chance to save the life of a humpback whale. Their efforts were captured on film. Here's their incredible story.
Yeah, you definitely
want
to
video as much of this as you can.
I
This
am.
is, we need to use this to help these animals.
On Valentine's Day, while plying the waters of the Sea of Cortez, I came upon a young humpback whale that appeared to be dead. We floated next to the whale for several minutes, but we saw no signs of life. Suddenly, the whale rose slightly in the water and forcefully exhaled. I decided to ease into the water with my snorkeling gear in order to assess the situation. I quickly discovered the whale was severely entangled in a gill net of the type used by local fishermen. As I swam alongside the animal, our eyes met. There were no words we could share, but I wanted to let the whale know that we were there to help. It took some effort to stay focused given the great emotion of the moment. The sight of this large and beautiful creature trapped and so close to death was almost overwhelming. And I must admit I was a bit scared because I knew the whale was frightened and fatigued, but could still kill me with one panicked movement. The situation was indeed bleak. The tail was entangled in so much gear it was weighted down a full 15 feet below the surface. Both pectoral fins were pinned to the side of its body, and the nylon gill net went all the way up the whale's back, forward of the dorsal fin.
He's freaking out. I got his dorsal fin free. That's it. His pack and his flukes are screwed.
I made a bit of headway, but it seemed too great a task, so I went back aboard to radio for help. We were told that perhaps in an hour someone else would arrive, and we all knew that by then it might be too late. While I was working around the pectoral fin, my boatmates George and Wero had managed to get some of the net pulled over the side of our panga. I came back aboard and we pulled and cut the net as fast as we could. We were maneuvering the boat into proper position with a paddle and only had one small knife, but after great effort managed to free one of the pectoral fins.
Yeah, he knows what's going on.
He knows what we're doing.
He's got to be able to breathe, too.
Oh no, she's right here.
Right on both sides. I'm going to paddle again. I'm going to paddle this around.
Sensing a spark of freedom, the young whale started to swim, taking us on a Nantucket sleigh ride through the Sea of Cortez for about a half of a mile.
Backwards
We're
ride.
being taken for a ride by a whale.
Can I hold the rope or something?
No, you're good, you're good. Just make sure none of us are entangled.
The whale eventually tired and came back up right underneath us.
He's thinking of other.
We continued to grab more and more net and haul and cut, and after nearly a half hour, the other pectoral